quite a bit.
Exactly. I have seen intentional errors. So a route that I normally take when I'm filling petrol and I have to use an intentional use and I have to take.
I think
Is
the
it
Ganesh
audio?
Chaturthi. Sorry?
Somebody's audio is coming in, right?
Yeah, we will disable the audio.
It's probably mine, and I'll turn it off in a bit. I have people at home. Okay, I think we are at 8:05, so we'll get started. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this edition, the sixth one of BigTalk. It is 1 year now, so with the six, so we do it every alternate month. So with this, we complete 6 years, and what better way than to complete 1 year with Kopal. So as in, Kopal is not just my classmate, but also an inspiration. I think we've seen her in a lot of forums, so we thought it was just apt that we would invite her here for an interaction with the alumni. And this is our BigTalk, of course, run by Bitosa Bangalore. Bitosa Bangalore, of course, part of the bigger Bitosa global umbrella, where we are a bunch of chapters trying to work on bringing all the alumni back into the network and onto a single platform so that we can learn and leverage and share our understanding from each other. So that's the objective of BigTalk, to kind of provide some inspirational leadership stories of folks. We've had some fantastic leaders talk earlier, and I think this one is going to be no less. It's going to be another fantastic talk. I think being a CIO in a very male-dominated industry, if you kind of looked at it, it's a very, very male-dominated industry. But yeah, Kopal's done well to push the boundaries on this. And there are many more stories. Of course, there's always the BIT story to tie us all together. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun. And with that, I'll hand it over to Vineet, so who'll run this show for the day. Vineet?
Thank you so much, Ramesh sir. So guys, 1 year back when Ramesh sir came up with this idea that let's get the super achievers of BIT on a platform where they can talk about various people, we did a lot of brainstorming. And we always had this thought that, okay, we know that BITians are like, we get a lot of super achievers, but how do we frame this program in a way that makes it interesting as well as fun for people? So we debated a lot on the format, and finally we came up with this particular format of 3 sections. And since we are completing 1 year very special episode, we had wonderful guests, starting with Sanjay Nayak, the CEO of Tejas Networks. We had Himanshu Kapania, MD, ex-MD of Idea Cellular. Then we had Amit Chadda, the CEO of L&T Tech Services. We also had Mr. Raju, who's the engineering head at Google. And the last guest we had was Vishy Kurungati, who was the product head at Rapido. So very illustrious guest list. To add a bit more glitter to that guest list, we have another super achiever amongst us, Kopal ma'am, Kopal Sarin Raj. She is currently the CIO and VP IT of Wabtec Corporation. It's one of the largest transport organizations in the world. Just a small bit, half a minute of about her academic journey. So she has, other than her graduation in BIT, she has done a master's MBA from XLRI Jamshedpur. She has worked for organizations like Tata Projects, Tata Steel. We have Sprint Corporation, DuPont, Aspirant Communications, DuPont, and currently she is leading the IT aspect of Wabtec Corporation as the CEO. A special thing about Kopal ma'am is that we could have thought of branding her as a woman leader, but that would be unfair to all her achievements. She is a leader in her own right, and the way she has stormed this male-dominated bastion, inspiration for all of us. Just a small anecdote. A week back, one of my students from one of the IIMs, she had called me up that, sir, aage kya branch lena hai? I'm confused. Should I take the ones where it's like already women are there, or should I take something which I really like, which is supply chain, where women find it very difficult? Will I be able to make a mark there? And by the time we had already finalized this big talk with Kopal ma'am, and I said, okay, you need to listen to this particular show and understand that if you have a lot of conviction about yourself, you can take on any challenges and shine irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman. So an inspiration to all of us, Kopal ma'am, I welcome you to the show. And in the first part of the show, we would like to hear a bit about your academic and professional journey before we take questions from the audience. Over to you, Kopal ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Vineet. I don't think I really deserve to be in that list of super achievers, but it's a journey that we all traverse. And yeah, when you look back, it's interesting milestones that we kind of come across, and how you really navigate through that. At that time, it just seems very overwhelming. But then when you're really over it and you've made it across onto the other side, and when you look back, yes, there are snippets to share and nuggets to share. So yes, I'm at Wabtec right now as their CIO for Wabtec India, and Wabtec is a global, $8 billion organization. I mean, of course, now in the Fortune 500 organizations, and I'll talk more of that later in as we go along. So I just have one kind of a slide that I've put through to help me give me talking points about my journey. So I'll just bring that up. Yeah, so I think it's gone ahead on that one. So like Vineet said, that I am from Jamshedpur. I've done my schooling from Jamshedpur. So whilst we all have been at Mesra, I'm sure the folks who've been outside of Jamshedpur would have got sick of hearing about Jamshedpur all the time, and so many people from Jamshedpur over there. I remember my batchmates would always have that because the Jamshedpur guys seem to be running away home every weekend whilst they were still in the campus. So I'm sure you would have heard about Jamshedpur by now for sure. So it's a lovely city, definitely to grow up in, and lots of lovely memories from the school days as well in Jamshedpur, and it's a great place to really grow up as an independent thinking individual, because it allows that freedom that today when with our kids, when we are sending them to school, we seem to be a little more overprotective around them. But Jamshedpur gave us that open environment, and it was really, really fun there. And I think the seed towards my bent towards the technology world, computer science world, was when I was in school, and we had this new teacher who came in for computer science, and she was a really amazing teacher. The way she taught us and the way she would help us to solve algorithms, that's where I really got excited about computer science. And I was pretty clear in my head, I think from class 9, that it's computer science that I want to do. And so in that journey, when so you do your 11th, you do your 12th, and after that you appear for all the entrance exams, and then you kind of go ahead for your Delhi University, Pune University admissions, hoping you get admission somewhere or the other. And I got admission in Stephens as well at that time, but I kind of decided to, and that was a year again when Mesra results came out a little late, and we had this whole Jharkhand and Bihar agitation also continuously going on. So because of that, so the results came out late, and I ended up going to Mesra probably around September, when the classes would have started in June in 1992 itself. So I was pretty clear. And then, and again, that was a battle with my parents, my dad, in moving away from St. Stephen's in Delhi to Mesra, that, are you sure you really want to do this? And then when I kind of came away to Mesra and I said, no, computer science is what I want to do. And I'm very clear about that. So for the next 4 years, I could never crib about my college, if at all, even if I was unhappy about anything, because, obviously my dad said that you picked it. So yes, I had no choice. I had to be happy with whatever the scenarios were that we were experiencing. So that's how I got to Mesra and did my 4 years of engineering there. It was, lots of memories around the academic subjects, the labs, the cultural festivals, etc. as well. I think at Mesra, the first year, of course, it was just figuring out where we need to go, how we need to make sure we are on class on time and things like that. And then I think for us as girls, we landed up in a old guest house at that time. So it wasn't even the hostel. So it was an old guest house which we converted into a dorm for us. But it was fun. At least we got to be together. At least I think we were about 20 of us, kind of sleeping in this big dorm. And there was a kitchen that we had to use as a bathroom and go and bathe there and use that as the washroom as well. So, absolutely new experience when you stepped out. And that was because they started, I think, additional batches, and they did not have sufficient hostel space at that time. So that's when we had to live in that old guest house for almost a year. And then we moved into the ladies' hostel over there. And again, from that old ladies' hostel, we had a new one that was being built, and we were lucky to be the first occupants of that ladies hostel, which I believe today has really expanded, and it's a huge hostel now, and I think it was called Hostel 9 at that time. So again, memories around the hostel life would be again kind of gearing up your baltis in time to make sure you get to be able to bathe before you go to class and get hot water before that. So usual struggles of standing in line for the, unlike the men's hostel, the boys' hostel, where they had, we would hear stories where they had things on a menu where they had options to select from. We really didn't have that. It was a pretty set pattern, and you just picked up a plate and something was given to you on the plate, and it was okay. We got used to it as well. So those was the hostel time. So finished engineering there, and then I, then of course joined Wipro from Mesra, and as a regular software developer, and was working for Xerox ODC at that time. And the fun part again there was, we were 12 of us, I think, that joined Wipro together. And we got this two-wheeler loan also from Wipro. So all of us bought these kinetic Hondas that we would drive around. So moved from Mesra to Wipro, and then after that, I got married, and I got married to an army officer, and he was posted, who's Lieutenant Colonel Pushkar Raj, and he was posted to Coimbatore. So I was trying to find ways of how I could move, let's say, from Bangalore to Coimbatore, and if I would have to give up my job, or I would be able to continue. But fortunately there, and Olivia and Santosh, and specifically Santosh, reached out to me. I remember him calling me up and telling me about somebody he knew who had started a company in Coimbatore. And fortunately, I got a job with them. And so I continued my journey there in Coimbatore as well as a software developer, tech lead. And they actually sent me on a project where they needed somebody to help with tech publication or technical writing, which probably we didn't even know much about at that time. But so they said we just need to so at that time it was you send somebody and you get revenue for that, right? So they sent to me, and I said I don't even understand what I need to do in tech pubs. But I went there, I established a good relationship with the client over there, and we actually managed to get more business as well. So it was, I think, another just opportunity which I picked and went ahead. And then in my journey of kind of aligning with my husband's career and his route that the armed forces were taking him to, he went to Rajouri, and I had my first baby, and so I came back to Jamshedpur. And in Jamshedpur, you just have probably Tata Steel that you can work in, and wasn't really sure what's going to happen there. So, and I was quite clear, I'm always going to be a techie in my life. I do not want to do MBA, and sometimes when you say never, that's one of those things. Even with my MBA, I said I would not do it. And so it took me a while to get that job in Tata Steel. And meanwhile, so my dad suggested, why don't you just try and give the entrance exam for MBA at XLRI? So I did that, and when things happen, so I got a job in TCS in Jamshedpur, and Tata Steel and the MBA came together. And fortunately, Tata Steel allowed me to do the MBA along with working as well. So I did that 3-year course there at XLRI. And that's when my introduction to enterprise IT world also started in Tata Steel. So initially, for the first day, my manager asked me, what are you really going to do? I mean, what do you aspire to do? And I was thinking, why do I have to think of that? There is a client, and I had this whole Wipro mindset in my head at that time. That there's a client, the client is give us a project, and there's a customer, we just have to deliver on that. But then, the fact that when you get into enterprise IT, you start driving a lot of initiatives because the business doesn't understand that space as much. So in Tata Steel, again, getting into the enterprise IT space and this enterprise IT strategy, we work very closely with Gartner, establishing a 10-year roadmap, business cases, use cases, program management office, business benefits, driving all of that. So that was really exciting for me. And so far, after that, my husband moved to Hyderabad, and I was lucky that there was an opening at Tata Projects as head of IT, and it kind of aligned with my work that I had done in Tata Steel. And Tata Projects didn't have much of IT at that time. So again, I set it up from scratch, greenfield. Systems, ERP systems, Salesforce, CRM systems, engineering systems, and field service support systems as well for field technicians out there. Then went on to DuPont, because at Tata's we kind of benchmarked DuPont a lot, but actually I found that what we had done in Tata's was still way ahead, because DuPont probably did that almost 20 years ago. So in terms of platforms, the Tata space was still at newer versions of things, and they were even looking at moving to cloud and things like that. And then I kind of moved to Spirent Communications. That was again a conscious move for me to, I wanted to come back into product development space, understand the new, aspects of technology in terms of this whole agile CI/CD development, paradigm, DevOps paradigm that we have. So I spent 5 years with Spirent in the telecom space, and again we had these network traffic generators for different kinds of protocols. And it was interesting again to work with the young engineers. And here I was managing the R&D centers in China, Germany, India, and then somehow have had some team members in US as well. So it was again a niche area, but I think phenomenal learning for me there again. And just so happened that Wabtec acquired GE Transportation, and they were looking for somebody to come in and help merge the IT systems for their different legal entities in India. And that's when I thought this opportunity kind of connected for me. Now, all these, the navigation that I have traversed is some by consciously reaching out for things, some because there was no other option. But when I look back now, everything connected for me, all, the infrastructure, application development space, the DevOps space, the engineering IT space, all of that, and setting up greenfield projects and greenfield factories. I've done quite many of them now in my journey. And that's really helped me to be where I am and to be able to guide teams that I lead right now as they work on their day-to-day projects and issues that they have. So I'm sometimes able to be hands-on, and that's how I would like it to be, always involved with technology and having an understanding of that, so that I'm able to help them solve problems that they are trying to work on. So this way, my exposure was, around the telecom, manufacturing, and chemicals industry with DuPont. So just about a little more about me. So like I said, married to Pushkar, and I have 2 sons. Kushan, he's in IIT Madras right now. He's in 4th year of engineering, and Bihan, So Kushan's 21, Vihan's 16, and he's in 11th grade, and he loves basketball. I don't know what he's going to do with that, but he's crazy about it. So,
Okay.
academics aside, but basketball is what he kind of is really passionate about. And like I said, I love to work with women engineers and, Society of Women Engineers, Code Chicks. And there are other forums that I am part of as well. And whenever work allows, I try and spend time with them. And I try, again, especially around the technical mentoring of the women at the office, because otherwise you tend to get slotted into project management roles. And I've seen that, especially with women, they kind of walk away from the complexity of design and technology and architecture per se. And because I think it's not about men and women, but just the fact that sometimes people tend to overcomplicate things when you can simplify that. And I've seen, even in my earlier years, so there would be this, really well-known, let's say, technocrat that comes in and puts a big design on the whiteboard and walks away, and his team is left puzzled that what am I supposed to make out of this, and what is the next step that I need to take. That itself is not clear to the rest of the team, right? So breaking it down, making things simpler, making it modular, these are things that keeping it simple helps over there. And that's what I try and at least guide the women, but don't just get overwhelmed with what they are telling you about it. So I think my exposure to two different domains and different aspects of technology, as I would say, from a producer side to a consumer side, because I think as a consumer as well as an end user enterprise, where business benefits are what really matter. And technology platform, almost all of them here and there almost delivered the same thing. They have fundamentally the same functions. It's how you integrate with the organization structure, the organization culture, environment, the people, and the processes that are existing that really drive the benefits there. And that's something that I really sit on and whiteboard around. And I think that helps me in kind of being able to deliver on things that I have promised.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just shared, and just in terms of, I just made some significant milestones, and what have helped me to achieve significant milestones in my career, I think would be my commitment to deliver and provide outcomes, and raising my hand for things I've never done before, mentors who showed me what I could not see in myself. Again, becoming head of IT was never in my charter. I was again a techie sitting, writing my code, very happy with in my world with my desktop or laptop, that you would laptops were rare earlier. And once you got it, you were privileged at that time, but I was happy in that space. And it was one of the CIOs at that time who said, why you just think of that in your head and you can make it happen. Even if you don't know, you can learn about it, because, you obviously bring in all elements of security and all of that as well. And so then never really giving up, because there have been moments and times when you have the personal front also kind of really overwhelming, and you've just got to float at times, and that happens to everybody. So I think we all should be okay with that. There are times when you would just need to do that, and it's fine to be in that space. And also understanding the fact that learning can come from anyone and applied anywhere. That's something that I truly believe in, because I used to just sit in meetings earlier, I think, of people, and just I think I've imbibed a lot from that. So I really try and encourage people here also that just sit in somebody's daily stand up, or just learn about what's their leadership style, what's their management style, how come that team has a lower attrition or something. You've got to really get into those shoes and try and understand. And then people motivators are pretty similar, across the globe. You see people motivators are and concerns are pretty similar. And the other thing that I keep saying, keep it simple in your professional life, and keeping it honest is very, very important, so that you don't mess it up in your head. Little bit about myself and my journey so far, Vineet.
Thank you so much, Kopal ma'am. That was really fabulous. We have already started getting messages in the chat saying it's awesome to hear about your journey. And just a a quick snapshot of what you had said. So we listened about your about your struggles and early days in BIT, which most people in girls' hostel who are living there now would not be able to relate to it. But it was quite amazing to hear the kind of struggles that your batch people went through. And obviously, your professional journey has been fantastic with the significant milestones that you have mentioned and the kind of approach you have had towards life and what has helped you get there. We need to add one more quality here, ma'am, which is modesty, because you started this program saying you don't know whether you are a super achiever or not, which we totally disagree with. But yeah, definitely a fabulous journey that you have had, very motivating and inspiring for all of us. A small thing which we want you to share about, it's a bit personal in nature, but since the other sections are about industry and then we go talking about friends, so we'll try to take it here itself. Could you tell us a bit about the journey and the inspiration that you got while dealing with the cancer thing that you had faced recently? Like what motivated you? How did you handle it? And how those two things are linked, the way you are in your professional life and in your personal life, how would help you to overcome this thing?
Yeah. So yeah, I thought Bangalore was, life was a little more settled for me, but this was like a curveball that came up last year.
Mhm.
And I think when I look at my journey, so from last year to March is when all the treatment was going on. And of course, the first, when you come across it, you're probably, like everybody else, denial is the first reaction, that it's not there and it's something else, and they've got the tests wrong. It's better to get the tests done again. So that's the immediate reaction that one usually has. And so in when I was told about my cancer, I kind of, then I said, okay, let me just follow all the processes and get all the tests done one after the other. And unfortunately, there's this battery of tests that happens, and when I went through all of them, all of them came out confirming the cancer and the fact that I would have to undergo chemotherapy.
Mhm.
And so chemo was something that I was really nervous about, and because of the reactions that I have seen on people in terms of the kind of nausea, the kind of weakness it creates. But I think looking back, of course, Pushkar was a very, very strong anchor. My friends were very, very strong anchors. Two of them are on the call today. My
Mhm.
family, my mom and my dad, they immediately came in to be with me. And, so after that, I think just looking at it as we kind of decided to look at it as a very, very objective journey of things that need to just be done. So if you need to go to the hospital, you need to spend 2 hours, 3 hours, you kind of mentally prepare to do that. That day will kind of go in that manner. So I don't think we really looked at all the emotional melodrama around it. And I actually see a lot of articles these days, and I actually asked Pushkar also, hey, we never sat down and we said, hey, now what's going to happen and what should we do next? And we never had that conversation. So I actually, I picked a bone on that with him as well. How come we never sat down and think about, okay, now how do we deal with this? Because I don't think I've been that way, neither has he been that way. We've been, whatever's been happening, of course, with his different locations that he would get
Mhm.
posted around, and single parenting that I would have to do as well. But we've always been very objective with the outcomes that we need to achieve, and you just kind of follow the path and do the things that are required. So I think in that is what helped me. And also the fact that my office colleagues were very, very supportive. I requested them, and that's where I feel the work helped me kind of remain distracted
Mhm.
about the medical journey that I was going through. And my request was, I'm not going to go on leave. I will join meetings, and just I won't probably be participative enough, but I just
Mhm.
like to be aware of what's going on rather than totally get unhooked from work. So and I continued to do that, and I think that gave me a lot of strength, and I would say also a distraction from the painful journey that one needs to go through. So I think that certainly is extremely helpful. If you're not able to deal with something, focus on something else and make that a strong point to kind of help you overcome the challenge.
Fabulous, man. We are getting tons of messages on the chat already about your journey and about your the way you're managing things in your personal life. What you said, the way you treated the journey of treatment also objectively in simple parts, like it aligns totally with the way you have mentioned in the slide, right? How you deal with your professional stuff, like keeping it simple and never giving up. The strength comes from within. So totally aligns with the kind of person you are professionally as well. So thank you so much for enlightening us with your journey. And guys, we are opening this for any questions that you might have had. You might have had about Kopal ma'am, you might have wanted to ask, or you want to ask right now listening to what she has said. So you can either message on the chat window or you can unmute yourself and ask for this question, any question that you might have.
I can't see the chat, but I guess we can keep going ahead then.
Okay, so if we don't have any specific question related to her academic and professional journey, so we are just getting messages, ma'am saying very inspiring, very amazing journey, awesome journey and all.
Thank
I
you.
don't think so. People have too many questions right now. They're just spellbound by your story. So we will go to the next part of the section of the show, which talks about, which basically takes inputs from our guest about how he or she thinks the industry would be in a few years' time. Like what are the things they foresee about the industry and the economy per se, and what people who are involved in those particular industries that you are a part of should do in the future to be future ready. So over to you, Kopal.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is first focus a little bit around the current space that I'm in, and so I've just pulled some slides together on so we have the railway plan that we have in India, and I'll focus on India, of course. Wabtec and the COE that we have here, the engineers work on providing products and application support to the global customers as well. But in India per se, with the we've from a budget perspective, we've had a lot of budget allocation to the railway industry, and of course the infrastructure space as a whole, right? And transportation and the railway industry within that. So what they're looking at within the railway industry is this whole 230 billion terminal, track and rolling stock infrastructure. That's the value that they're looking at by 2030. Rolling stock is basically everything that is involved in a railways, which is and metros. So you have the locomotives, you have the bogies, metro coaches, engines, and you have different horsepowers of these locomotives. And then there is a significant focus on freight rail, where you want to shift and increase that freight rail from almost 30% to 40%. So today, again, a lot of the freight is moving by truck and not so much as much by freight on the rail. And so and because there's a lot of reasons behind that. That is also because you really don't have, and you would have heard about these dedicated freight corridors in the railway segment, which they're kind of working on, and we're looking at hopefully all of them kind of going live, because otherwise you have freight and passenger running basically on the same railway lines, right? And that kind of eats into the speed at which freight can move. And so again, they are looking at electric locomotives and components for locos and wagons as well. And and they're looking at, again, increasing and improving the capacity in the high density utilization network. So again, when you look at where the trains are moving maximum, you would again find this whole quadrilateral that gets formed of the train movement across the nation. So again, within that, first modernizing the signaling infrastructure, again increasing the number of coaches that are available there, working around predictive maintenance around that, rationalizing the rolling stock again, basis the distance travel. So they've again, Railways has done this math of around, it's up to between 400 to 1600 kilometers that most number of train journeys happen in India. And for that, really sometimes don't need all of these long trails and long trains and heavy duty locomotives. So they are introducing something called train sets, which are going, and you know, some of you might have read in the newspapers as well. And these are train set 18s, which are indigenous trains that are going to run in the 400 to 1600 kilometer range, within the railway space. Right, and these are new trains that are going to be completely manufactured in India. So again, a lot of growth expected around their components and maintenance of these things. And zero carbon footprint is what we are looking. They have targeted by 2030. So this is all related to the National Railways Plan. And this is where again 100% electrification, electric locomotives would come in. So a lot of engineering work for us. So again, and a lot of opportunities for digitization, because we have a lot of applications that run inside the locomotives and are embedded in the locomotives. We have a lot of sensors that we pick up and we monitor, because if we sell a locomotive and we have 10-year maintenance contracts on that. So I'm just speaking one of these, let's say, freight locomotives, but we have locomotives in the passenger and metro segments as well in other regions of the country. In India, we have a manufacturing plant near Patna, which is in Marora. So this is a smart factory where you have all these huge locomotives getting assembled for Indian Railways. So again, a lot of remote monitoring is done, and of these locomotives and their components as well. Because the MSAs are the ones where we have maximum revenue. For any product, the services is what you really get more money out of in the revenue proportion. So that's the segment on the railway side. And again, we're looking at almost a 600 million opportunity in 2024 to diversify products and platforms on the metro side. So almost 2,400 cars next 5 years, and rapid regional rail transportation, especially around the Delhi NCR region. So almost 1,800 cars and 8 more corridors is what we're looking at. So now this is where business for Wabtec is going to completely scale, right? So bringing in the new technologies with constrained capacity, we obviously can't just blow up the manufacturing capacity, hire a whole number of people. So that's where technology, automation, robotics, all of that is going to play a role in our journey of digitization. And again, so just to give you where our manufacturing sites are in India, it's in Hosur, and I said Marora, and Bahadurgarh is near Delhi, and Baddi as well. So a lot of different components that go into these locomotives and train cars, ACs, brake discs, brake pads, all of those kind are manufactured here. So again, to maintain this, we have our regular enterprise systems where, there's some of this which is pretty much standardized today, right, in the enterprise world. But shifting to the industry 4.0 perspective, we have robots on our shop floor, in our labs. We have the big data analytics, data lakes, huge data lakes that we have of the data that we ingest from the various assets and sensors that we have, in the environment. And of course, with that comes cybersecurity, putting it onto the cloud. And then we have a setup for additive manufacturing here as well. So we do manufacture components and print them through these 3D printing capabilities that we have in our lab here in Bangalore itself. So a lot of these new technologies are coming in. And then in terms of augmented reality, we are using these RealWear gears to support field engineers and field staff as well, design as well. And we have, especially around testing, that we need to do and the support that we need to provide. There's a lot of things that reliability testing, etc., that needs to be done before the delivery of a component that happens. So we're using that in this space as well. And the whole IoT and OT integration is what we are looking at as well. And so I think the advances in technology right now, especially with the 5G space, of course, AI, ML, cloud is kind of given, it's there now. with the 5, and I'm really excited about 5G coming in and the capability of edge computing and edge AI, because we pick up real-time sensors closer to the assets that are being monitored, right? And then some processing done there and some signaling back that needs to go back in there. So, so that's one view on the overall operations of the entire fleet that we work with. And on the supply chain side, because that's another, so again, my domain and my core area being manufacturing, and how do you support things on the manufacturing shop floor? Again, the supply chain planning, warehouse management, MES. These are systems again that are already there, but I think with the whole 5G and the OT network and specialization on the the network architecture also that we are talking about, because it's not the same way that you kind of the consumer grade network is kind of set up around, right? And of course this whole supplier connect, supplier quality, which becomes important when you do these big assemblies over here. So I would say in these segments we see a lot of areas where we do have basic enterprise applications set up. I think most enterprise applications are already there. It's the next level of connectivity, integration, and analytics that needs to be brought in over here. And just another view of I think this is more around, I talked through it, but again, the complex environments that we have. So now one more slide that I wanted to share, like you mentioned around so obviously there is always these global crises around COVID that we all faced in the last couple of years, inflation that is driving in terms of the macroeconomics, the workforce, a whole bunch of attrition around it, and the talent pool is smaller as in terms of good talent pool really out there. So how do you attract them? And these whole goals around the sustainability and climate change as well. So looking at how, and we also at Wabtec, and I'm sure all enterprises do look at how we can bring in a technology and digital thread to all of these aspects. So in terms of the we've also used AI, ML, drones, chatbots, advanced analytics, and in terms of the workforce, we are looking more towards low code, no code. But I'm not really, I mean, I was just looking at the trends in that space. I'm not really convinced too much around that, because there's still a lot of work that goes into customization. But I think that the claim of 10x is usually not there. It will probably be lower turnaround time there. Again, virtual agents, in terms of making it easier for employees, I think all of us working on virtual onboarding and trainings that we need to do. And that's where, again, another space where we're really using this whole, augmented reality and real-wear headgears that we use for training people with especially on the lab simulations that we have. And of course, looking at metaverse as well, for again, at this time, at least for training and processes itself, that if we can work with that. So again, we're talking to a couple of academic institutions as well that we work very closely with, and some of the, our vendor partners as well. Then again, digital twins is something which we are working on, especially around the component space. We have these digital twins that we've set up on the cloud, which allows somebody to kind of quickly turn it around, find where that fault is, and go back and again tell the engineer what needs to be fixed on the floor. So I think a lot of these technologies are going to help the 4 pillars that we say about around various kind of crises that one is navigating. And again, on the sustainability climate goals, IoT can deliver real-time carbon footprint, and a lot of us are doing that today in terms of smart devices, that are out there. Again, internal intelligent automation, ESG compliance. We're again looking at all kind of ratings over there. Document processing, again, a lot of work has been done in terms of bringing in the RPAs like UiPath, etc., to make it paperless. And I think the driverless vehicles as well. So I think these are pillars which are really helping the other global aspects that are kind of impacting the world around us.
Fantastic, ma'am. So yeah, and we have a couple of questions. In fact, we had 3. One you already answered while you were talking. where Anupam sir had asked, do you have systems enabled via digital twins? So that has already been taken care of. So we'll move to another question. This has been asked by Sanjay Prasad Pandey sir. I think he's your batchmate, if I'm
Hi.
not mistaken. Yeah. So his question is, are you using cloud integration as well? For example, in WMS, what about app deployment and API security in the cloud? Will that be a concern? Your views, please.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. And I think today the kind of cyber related attacks that every enterprise is facing, we have to be very careful with that. So we do run a lot of tests and checks and what we need to really expose and what we need to really protect. So we're very, very mindful of that. And definitely, again, we are moving towards being a cloud first organization. We'll also have, legacy stuff that is still on premise, but the new stuff that comes up, so if there's a new factory, we're setting up something new for them, we are putting that definitely on the cloud in terms of this whole scalability and redundancy and DR setup, etc., which becomes a little more easier for us. The APIs, again, we have a set process. We have, again, in terms of product cybersecurity, we have something called a Cato process and all that gets, which is followed very, very stringently in the organization. So only then, the checks and balances allow you to expose something if you need to, let's say, to a third party.
Thank you, ma'am. Sanjay sir, I hope your query was responded to. And now we go to the next question, which is from Anupam sir. And his question is, what is the biggest challenge you have faced in data aggregation from heterogeneous sensors or devices, ensuring data privacy, consumption, and real-time insights?
I think for now, I mean, the biggest challenge that, it's been in different aspects. So we have different P&Ls, right? So I would split it up in the services segment. Getting it real time still is a challenge in some areas and places. There is still a lag. There is still some kind of intervention that the end users want to be able to do before they kind of allow data to move in to let's say any one of our data lakes that we would have set up, right? So one is a user mindset to kind of let data be uninterrupted and not massage it in between before they kind of, because they have their SLAs that they need to meet, right? So if I've set it up for a certain SLA for a certain customer, and these are reports that are going to drive it, they tend to kind of want to step in between and play around with that data. That is something which kind of then messes up the entire hierarchy of the application systems that we have set up. So one is the user behavior over there. And in terms of the technology platforms, I think, again, the interfacing is where we still find it a little bit of challenges in the environment, and especially when we have different platforms that we have in the environment, from legacy enterprises that we have acquired to new enterprises that we have set up. So again, though you bring in a new platform, you're not able to really integrate it well because you don't understand the legacy data structures that are set out there. So, you really don't get business benefit from the whole new data platform that's been brought in. So, I think simplifying that, and again, we're currently dealing with that because in Wabtec, it's a very, very heavily merger and acquisition oriented organization. So even, things like I was saying, master data management becomes a big struggle. And as basic as, if this is a customer record, is this a unique customer record, or is this somebody else with the same customer ID? So some of those things, especially in the enterprise world, become a big challenge.
Anupam sir, was your question answered? Can we move on?
Thanks, Yeah, that question is answered. Only one question I have on the top of that is when it comes to standardization of the devices protocols, when you get from the data from all these devices, right? On the factory automation.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, that's a standardization I still don't see in the industry. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, so it's a challenge for us even here, and so more on the private land that I would say. So that is why it's still very limited. I'm not able to roll it out to all sub-assemblies and things like that. Depends on the OEM that we have on that sub-assembly and things like that. So it's still a challenge for us over there.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, guys, I think we have responded to all the questions that were put up in the chat window. So now we move to the most interesting and fun part of the show, which is the personal segment. So before I bring in two very close friends of Kopal ma'am, about talking about their journey together as friends over the last, from the time they started in BIT. Before that, we'll do a small rapid fire section, as is the norm, and we will ask 10 questions to Kopal ma'am. So, ma'am, are you ready? Can we start now?
Okay.
Okay. So, first question: if you had a chance to eat only one more meal in BIT, would it be canteen food, hostel food, or something else?
Okay, that will be hostel food for me. I used to
Yeah.
love the kundru that was made in the hostel food. My friends never liked it. So I would still go back for that kundru in the hostel food.
Amazing. So, next question: one thing about BIT you can't forget.
One thing about BIT, one thing to nahi hoga, it's an amalgamation of many experiences that one can't forget. But the first so the first cultural festival that we had, the the Bitotsav, I think that, so we were in the first year, and then earlier obviously the protocols around women or ladies or girls rather to be outside late would never be there, right? So when we had this program, we were allowed to stay late outside of our hostel. And we're very thrilled about it and excited about it. And the first time so this is first year itself, right? And then, but when the program got over, I still remember, so there was this big whole line that was queued up with security, and then we were made to walk back into the hostel. So that was, I mean, the only thing that we had to do was lift our hands over there because we almost felt like that walking back into our hostel. So I remember that very, very clearly as a strong memory and really enjoying that.
Interesting. One thing about BIT you would want to change.
I mean, in terms of change, would be for its, allowing the alumni to become a little more inclusive and being able to create more impact for the students there. That's something that I would definitely like to change.
Nice. One technology of today you wish was available during your BIT days.
Zomato, Swiggy apps.
Wonderful. One celebrity you wish you could ride on a rickshaw or a cycle with from the hostel to the institute.
So that is okay. So that time I was crazy. I mean, so during that time I was crazy about Tom Cruise. So I have to think about 92 to 96 which celebrity I was, we were really kicked about and crazy about was Tom Cruise. Probably take him on a ride. It'll probably be interesting for him as well.
Next question: which branch would you choose in BIT if you got selected today?
Computer science. I have my full allegiance to that.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you had staked your entire reputation at home on computer science, right? Great. So most creative excuse of bypassing the in time at hostel.
Most creative excuse. I mean, so yeah, I think we would be pretty good because we would really get hollowed if we are late into the hostel and so we never really, I think they would just shut the gate, so you really had to stand outside and beg and plead to get back inside. So we were really never late very often. I think I would be just about creatively kind of so we had these ladies called Nita Didi, and making up some kind of story to her to beg and plead and get inside. Ki just allow us, we'll do this for you, or we'll help you in some way to let us come in. I think that's all I can remember.
So some kind of bargaining.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Happiest BIT moment.
The happiest BIT moment would be when I got my job at Wipro.
Great. And the last question: your nickname in the batch, or if you don't want to disclose that, the most famous nickname of your batch.
That's another one. I'll have to rattle my head, but definitely what I can think of is one of my close friends. I mean, nickname to nahi hai, but how it becomes for people. I mean, so Deepika Gope, and Gope was her nickname, or that's all we called her, Gope. Yeah, so we just called her Gope, and then when we suddenly, I think we went and met her. So we went to to meet her. She was in Bokaro. So when we went their family, then we're still talking to her as Gopi Idhar Gopi Idhar, and are not realizing that that's her dad's name, right? So that used to be always a fun memory that we have to correct ourselves on. Even now we call her Gopi. She doesn't write Deepika Gopi as much, I think, but Gopi is what we call her.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, ma'am, for jogging a bit through BIT's memories through this rapid fire questions. Now, what we will do is we'll bring in two very close friends of Kopal ma'am to talk about their experiences together of BIT, their friendships. If you think about it, September is typically when the batches start in BIT, right? So September 1992. So we have completed 30 years that way, Kopal ma'am's batch. So your friendships that you have had there is like is entering into the fourth decade in a way. So we have two very close friends of Kopal ma'am today here, Olivia ma'am and Soma ma'am. So let me introduce them one by one. We'll first introduce Olivia ma'am. So Olivia ma'am, post BIT, she has worked in different roles in Tata Motors, Ramco Systems, and then moved to the US. And currently she is a founding team member of Avesha Inc., where she heads up product and marketing functions. So this is a they have a very fast growing infrastructure product. And just to give you a small input that it's a tech startup in media and entertainment space. And she has worked with the team of Bahubali as well. Super achiever in her own right. She has also done her MBA from Boston University. She has two daughters by the name Priyana and Priyanka. And one interesting tidbit about her is that she is married to a BITer. So Olivia ma'am, could you please join us and talk a bit about your friendships and the way you have managed those friendships for the last 30 years, how you have had fun with each other, learned from each other, and things like that.
Hi, Vineet. Thank you. Kopal, that was so amazing. That was really, I mean, I've been friends with Kopal for forever, for 30 years now. And just hearing the journey, I've heard bits of it, but just hearing her present today, that was, I'm sure like everybody kept saying that it was so inspiring. It made me, swell with pride. So hats off to you, the way you presented it was very nice. Yeah, so my, Vineet, what was the question that my association with Kopal or?
Yeah, both your association with Kopal ma'am over the 30 years, how you guys have managed to keep in touch and keep the friendship going, how you have helped each other or inspired each other throughout the journeys.
Yeah, so my first memory of Kopal is I think I saw her on the first day of registration in BIT, and she was up there, in the entrance when you first enter, you had those steps. And she was this obviously very attractive, girl who was in my, and I didn't know at that time she was from Jamshedpur, and she was taking some notes. There was a poster of something around the army, I think. She was taking some notes on that. I don't know if you remember, Kopal, I still remember that. But I wanted to bring 2 points in here. I have known Kopal very closely. I've been very close to her all through BIT days and after. 2 things that really stand out, and she brought that in her presentation today, is that she's really a very dedicated visionary. She always knew where she wanted to be. That ambition aspect was always there. And she said it today that maybe she didn't see herself as landing in a CIO role as a IT person, but she always had those high ambitions. And it's very important to have that. And I don't want to make any gender specific comments, but if we are talking to women today, I would say that's very early on, and that's what I teach my girls to have as well, is that have a vision for yourself, have a dream for yourself. That might change over the course of your life. And I think Kopal embodied that. I have always known her to be not only for herself, for people around her. So when she was looking at that army, it was for the person that she would get married to. So that's a very attractive quality in an individual, because life is all about growth. Life is all about how do you get better, how do you work towards, and that's when while Kopal was talking about her journey, you need to get your mind involved in something that helps you grow. That's when both mind and body wise, you're always sane, and you're focused, and you get the most out of life. I think that's the best way to lead life, as to how can you do things that are bigger than yourself and bigger than this limited mind body complex that we are in. And I think Kopal completely embodies that. The second thing I would say is the generosity aspect. I think she's very with achieving what she has achieved, and with the growth that she's achieved professionally, the kindness and generosity she's always thinking about, which a lot of us, at least for myself, I don't find as much time to think about other people or friends, or but I find I'm really amazed how Kopal is able to do that in terms of keeping in touch with everybody, finding out about their lives or what they need. And recently I'll tell you that so I'm also new to this infrastructure and DevOps, and I lead. I'm the VP of marketing and a product function in my company. And I reached out to Kopal when I wanted her to evaluate certain parts of our product. We are a Series A startup right now, and also wanted to do a feature along with her, which we were discussing and probably will continue to discuss with her. But she brought in some of our team members that we spoke to. But it is that attitude that you can always reach out to her and get help, and even in our WhatsApp groups or what we have as means of communication, she's always there at the forefront of connecting with people, of having that kind and generous attitude of being there, of helping with whatever resources that she can help. So that's pretty remarkable as well.
Fantastic. So, Olivia, ma'am, I'll be projecting the pics that you had shared, which you wanted the audience to see about your friendship that have lasted for 3 decades. So I'll project them on the screen. So if you can just walk the audience through when these pics were clicked, what's the significance of these pics, it would be wonderful.
Sure.
Okay, is this visible?
Yeah, I didn't have too many BIT pictures. I told you, Vineet, this one we had. When was this, Kopal? This was definitely one of our.
One of the last days. Yeah.
This was the last day.
Yeah.
So
I think this is
the batch picture kind of thing. So like that we have towards the end with formals. I guess this might be one of them.
Yeah, I think this was the farewell or something. This was someone. Soma is not in this, but
no, I think this is your what do you call Com-Science group, Olive.
Yeah, this is Com-Science. You're right, Soma. Yeah, this is all of us, and it's probably the farewell. So this is from BIT days.
It's near the canteen for sure. I think it's outside the canteen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some construction going on in the background.
This side that
Some
she was
new
talking
block or
about.
something that was coming up, perhaps. You can see those
those construction rods. Yeah, maybe the labs were getting constructed then.
Okay, great. So we go to the next pic, ma'am.
Oh no, this is not BIT. This was my entrepreneurial journey where I this is Dagubati. We were selected as part of his cohort of companies that he chose to fund in the media and entertainment space when I started Comic Clicks.
So this, please.
So I moved to Bangalore when I was running Comic Flakes. That was my first entrepreneurial gig. So I moved to Bangalore for 2 years. I had a team there. And so this is about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, Kopal, or prior to. And this was Kopal's birthday. So just dropped in for the cake. And so that was the time. Most of the pictures are around those 3-4 years where both of us happened to be in the same city.
Yeah, and I was really fortunate with that she had decided to come when I came to Bangalore, and then she was pretty close by.
Yeah.
So that was like a big bonus for me.
So we go to the next one.
This was again one of those, this is Sameer's wife, Shubha. And all of us are from Jamshedpur also. So I think this is Sameer's house. Or Kopal, your house, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's probably my house. Yeah, I think the next one.
House,
this is all
your
of us.
house. This is just before I left Bangalore and I moved back to San Francisco. That's Santosh and me and Kopal and her family, and of course Ramesh too.
Yeah, Ramesh sir also is in the background.
Yes. Sameer, well, I think, is it or no?
Sorry, Soma, what?
Next to Ramesh, is that what, Sameer or somebody else?
Yeah, that's Sameer.
Yes, that is Sameer and all the kids. Ramesh's wife is there and his daughter in the front.
Nice. And so we have the last picture here.
Yeah, this is in my house in Bangalore. That's Sumana. She was visiting from San Francisco, and Ramesh's wife again, and in one of those light moments.
And this was a fun get together after a long while.
Yeah,
we've been fortunate at least to be able to catch up.
It's really wonderful to see, like, over the years, like as we discussed, 30 years, that you guys have managed to take out time, stay in touch, and keep interacting regularly with each other. So that's the comments we are getting in the chat as well, that these are lovely pics, and most people are reminiscing about their batchmates as well. So now we move to the second guest that we have, again, very close friend of Kopal ma'am. And she is Soma Banerjee ma'am, and she is from the 92-96 batch of B Pharma. She is also an alumni of Army Institute of Management, Kolkata, and IIM Bangalore. She has, as far as corporate experience is concerned, she has had rich experience with GE Capital, Genpact, Nielsen, and Talisman Corporation. She moved to the area of data analytics and data science. So she's currently the co-founder and director of Business Prio, which works in the areas of analytics and data science. And they have customers all across India, Middle East, Europe, and US. And her startup, it has a lot of industry recognition, including NASSCOM Excellence Award Analytics, Top 10 Solution Providers by CIO Review, Times Brand Icon 2021. And they hold multiple IPs and patents in data science and AI domain. From a personal perspective, just to ensure that things are balanced out, since we heard Olivia ma'am has 2 daughters, so Soma ma'am has 2 sons, just to keep the universe balance going. And another important thing about her is she's quite an active member of BigTalk Kolkata chapter. And I have had the good fortune of meeting her in 2019 when we had the BigTalk conclave in Bangalore. So over to you, Soma ma'am. Please talk about your experiences in BIT together and how you guys have managed your friendships all through. Kopal ma'am had mentioned that you guys, especially Olivia ma'am and you, had stuck together with her and provided her a lot of support during her journey, especially the last 1 year, which has been tough for her. So over to you, Soma ma'am, please.
Thanks, and thanks, Vineet. And it was lovely hearing you, Kopal. I don't think I knew a lot of it, not your selection in Stephens, but what Stephens lost was, of course, BIT must run our gain. And it has been wonderful knowing you, and throughout during BIT, and of course even after that. 30 years is actually a long time, so we need calculated that for us and didn't really realize it is 30 years doesn't seem so long though. So in BIT, I think, I'm not from the same branch, but because we were in the hostel, so obviously, there is that hostel and batch bond, right? The girls' hostel being, so small, and some of which Kopal already mentioned that, we were in a guest house, so as first year. So kind of, I think for not only for me or for us, but I think for most of us in BIT, is that, you after school, when you are like stepping out as an individual, you are stepping out of your home, out of the shadow or maybe the protection of the parents. You are, that is where I think you grow up, right? That's where you find your own 2 feet, you find your head, and you find that with the help of your friends. And 4 years is a long time really to find yourself and to find yourself through your friends as well. And I think that is what happened there. And those are the fond memories. Some of those Kopal mentioned. I have some, a few pictures I'll share. And we learned, I think, the whole thing, the beauty of it is that we were all innocent, right? I mean, later on, if you now look back and, we were not worldly, we was like still innocent, finding our own world actually. And there, you learn from each other, not only the subjects that you are there to study for, but also, the ways of life, how maybe, when you are going for interviews, the other life skills. I remember I had a heater in my room, and we would actually cook Maggie there in the middle of the night. And when we are hungry because mess is closed, and probably you liked, or Kopal liked kundru, she said. I don't know how she did, because I remember because we had kundru a few nights together as dinner, we actually staged a dharna that we don't want kundru anymore. So we actually did a hunger strike, I think, as far as I remember, because of kundru. Now, I don't know if because Kopal doesn't find kundru in Bangalore, so she says that she's fond of kundru. So there are, a lot of memories. And even after that, after we came out of BIT, Kopal was in Bangalore, I was in Bangalore as well. So I'm not very sure, but I think you came back from Thiruvananthapuram once, and then that is how we started meeting actually, on and off. Met her in Hyderabad. When I relocated back to Kolkata in 2013 after that, and she was actually moving out of Kolkata to most probably Hyderabad.
Right.
So there was a little bit of overlap there. And again, when she came back to Calcutta to speak at an event, as in one of the IT leaders. So I was fortunate to be there in the in the audience, and that's how I was surprised. I didn't know really, but then I had gone there to attend that particular days even because I saw her name, that she was speaker. And it's always amazing to hear her, like she was describing today her journey and her views on technology and the kind of work that she has done. So we have that way kept in touch through the years. And also, I think a couple of years back, when maybe just after COVID or just before COVID, we was selling off one of our apartments in Bangalore. And I, in fact, went and stayed with her, and though I didn't realize that, we were actually so used to stay so close. But, it was actually almost a stone's throw distance. So I stayed with her and met her family again, her sons and Pushkar. So it's always, good to, because so these are relationships that where you, one is the, because you go back so long, so, you can pick up conversation as if, nothing really dropped, in the process over time. And the other thing is also what she was talking about, her journey through different, both sides of the table, from the development side as well as, the enterprise IT side. So a lot of times we also discussed about how the technology field is actually growing. We have talked, because I work in the data science space, so how the whole data engineering, data science, the AI space is actually, changing, and then, the opportunities as well as the hurdles and the challenges from business as well as the technology side. So, I mean, it is really very comforting, if I can say that, when you are discussing ideas or discussing, thoughts, whether it is on a personal side or it is on the, work front. I mean, there's a lot of comfort, because if you are talking to a friend who is, such a, what should I say, who is a stellar performer as well in the industry. So there is a lot of pride as well, when you are speaking to her, when you are seeing her in forums, getting awards, getting recognition. So it is a very, proud feeling as well as her batchmate, as her, being from the same institute, from the same hostel. So really hats off to you, Kopal, for your journey, personal as well as, professional.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So if you can project the pics to relive some of the memories, that would be wonderful.
Thank you, Soma. Thank you, Olive. Love you guys.
You too, Kopal. So here, can you see this?
Yeah.
So this is what I found. So I was visiting one of my, another friend, Radhika, earlier this year, and these are some of those old pictures we found from her, from the
rendering.
So
I think
It's not rendering.
softies.
Yes.
So if you could.
So ma'am, there's just a blank screen. I think you need to press next or something for that picture to come.
Can you see that? Can you see my screen?
Still a blank.
Hold on, I think the screen share has stopped for some reason. 1 minute. Let me reach.
Or you can share the screen without the full screen mode. I think that would be.
No, I think let me reshare. Is it visible now?
Yeah, we
It
can
is.
see it now.
It is.
Yep.
All right. So this
Oh
is
my
where,
God.
yeah, I'm not there, but this is, I think, some of the they're all from our batch. Olive is there, and there were Shalini, Manju, and Radhika, all of them enjoying softie. I don't know how many of you have had. This is, I think, where is this Viral Chowk? Yeah. So typically on weekends, I mean, we will take the bus and go for a movie or lunch and all, and then we had to, I think, catch the bus back from Viral Chowk, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think it's near Xavier's, right? St. Xavier's, outside St. Xavier's, we would have the bus, I think.
Yeah,
We would have
Yes.
to walk from Firalal
from
to Xavier.
Firalal to here, right?
Yeah.
And this is when we had, I think this is in our new hostel. So, luxuries in life that time, because I think this is when the geyser was installed in the bathroom. So we would typically, I think, use our buckets to keep line in, for while taking bath. And we would use normally the immersion rod, but I think that in the new hostel, we had bigger bathrooms and, geysers on both sides, both the bathrooms that were installed. So we were really thrilled that we will have, hot water, little pleasures of life. So look at the smile. Everybody is so thrilled and excited. And this is, I think, in our room. So I don't know. I think none of us used to wear spectacles. Probably now few of us do. But yeah, I think we were practicing that time. This was in our room in the new hostel. This is the new hostel. So we had twin sharing room. Earlier, I think in the, like you mentioned, in the first year in the guest house, I think you were in the dorm. I was with Jane. Yeah, if you recall Jane, she was from Nigeria. So first, I think 4 or 5 months I shared room with her, and then we moved to the old hostel, hostel number 8. Then when the next year the new hostel came up, I think in second year, then we moved back to the new hostel, which is hostel number 9. And this is a pic that I found. This is, when we visited Kopal with Kopal. So I think all of them from Jamshedpur, mostly on weekends or alternate weekends, they will run home. So this was one of those occasions we also went with her. So we actually visited Kopal's house in Jamshedpur. Where is this, Kopal?
And this is a famous Jubilee Park.
Yeah, so the beautiful Jubilee Park. And I recall, I think we had gone for one Holi also.
Look at a 90s fashion.
Yeah.
The hair and the clothes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
funny.
And I think we went for one Holi event also. And in fact, that was also the time when, we had, visited Accelerate. I mean, the camp, I mean, the college, there was some convocation which was going on, I think, in one of the auditoriums. So we actually also went there and were there for part of the graduating students convocation.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I recalled. I think around.
nice.
Yeah. So, some
Yeah,
memories.
times.
Yeah.
The bus journeys itself are exciting always. I think from our hostel to Ranchi and then Ranchi to Jamshedpur as well. I think we have traveled in buses where we actually held the umbrellas also. Because the buses would be like that.
Right.
Great, thanks.
And I think, what I mean, I don't know, are we running short on time? Vineet, how are we doing?
Yeah, so ma'am, you have a couple of more minutes.
Yeah, so I think, a lot of things that, Olive talked about Kopal, but what I find is that, is that her simplicity, that really strikes me, and it has always struck me, is that, she actually keeps things very simple. I don't know if that is how it was even in college days, Kopal, because, we didn't, study the subjects together. But otherwise, if I look back during all the interactions that I've had with her, I mean, and whenever we have spoken, conversations, I mean, I think it to her, I don't know if she really thinks it that way, but when she puts it, when she talks, when she speaks about anything, whether it is related to personal life or professional, she keeps it very simple. She's very, grounded, down to earth. And I think that's a big, big quality in today's time, that you are grounded. You actually keep it simple, not only for yourself, but also for people around you. And that's a, great virtue, Kopal.
Thanks, Soma. It's really nice of you to notice and say that. Yeah, but I do try and keep it simple, but as long as, I mean, there's enough happening in life anyway, so as much simplicity that we can bring.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Soma ma'am and Olivia ma'am, for sharing your experiences and also sharing the wonderful pics to relive the memories that you guys have had with Kopal ma'am. And it was really wonderful to listen to the personal aspects of things, a lot of fun. We have been getting the feedback on chat windows. In fact, some of them are like a really, really big chat messages, which would take a lot of time to go through. And people are appreciating the fact that you guys have been friends for so long and still make an effort to keep connected and help each other out whenever necessary. So really inspirational for all of us. So before, when we started this session today, Ramesh sir had mentioned this thing that we are completing 1 year, and what wonderful way to complete 1 year than to have Kopal ma'am as our guest and Olivia ma'am and Soma ma'am as well talk about their experiences. So totally vindicated that our anniversary special show today was indeed special in more than ways than one. So again, thank you so much, Kopal ma'am, Olivia ma'am, and Soma ma'am for your time and for sharing your experiences. Since we are completing 1 year, it would be prudent for us to mention the fact that the people who have helped us all through in ensuring that this particular show goes on and we keep on bringing important guests for an informative and fun time. So Ramesh sir, as you guys all know, has been the director of the show. He's the brains behind it. Always rock steady with new ideas as far as Betosa is concerned. Anupam sir, he is kind of the producer of the show, if you can call it, always involved in some way or the other and ensuring that everything is done accordingly. We have had help from people like Ashish sir, Seema, Prince, Abhinav at different parts of time and in different ways. We have also had a lot of support from people from different chapters, falling within the umbrella of BITOSA Global, but part of different chapters like Neha and other folks who constantly help us with our marketing and ensuring that this particular information goes out to more people and we get more registrations. We also have had regular attendees who have enriched us with their questions and their presence. I can see on our screen people like Rahul Masurika sir, Anuj Justi sir, Abhinav Sinha sir, Rakesh, Samir Shishodia, people. Folks like this have been regular and they've always contributed with their knowledge as well as their queries on the show. So before we end this up, thank you everyone once again. And Ramesh sir, over to you for the closing remarks.
All right. So we did spend 90 minutes. That's what people are worried about. Will there be 90 minutes? So yeah, I think we could have taken longer, I'm sure. A life of 30 years cannot be summed up in 90 minutes, but fantastic. And I started with, I'm also Kopal's classmate. We've had discussions, but we've never really heard it all organized together. So it's a good being part of it. And thank you so much for accepting to be here. I know it takes a lot of courage to share some of the personal journeys. Not everybody is ready for what life gives you, and not everybody is willing to share. Soma mentioned, Kopal likes to keep it simple. So I think that's fantastic. I think we should all try to keep it simple. And I will also not try to make it any more complicated. Please do kind of continue to join our sessions. The idea is to kind of bring inspiration into the alumni network. There's a lot of successful people. And the only reason we do it once in 2 months is because of lack of bandwidth. It takes a lot of time and effort, like Vineet mentioned, and a lot of people behind the scenes to get it all put together, working with the speakers, fitting the time, everything. So I really want to thank everybody who works on this tirelessly for 1 year. They've been working. If somebody would like to volunteer, I'd highly encourage them to volunteer, come join the team, help us out. So many things we can do together. And you can also, the other idea is also to kind of identify the people who you can connect with. So you can, of course, go back offline and connect with Kopal. She's on LinkedIn. All our speakers are very, very open, willing to talk, provide feedback, mentor, whatever you need. I think that's the other goal we would want to achieve, saying, hey, please use this opportunity, please use the network. The network is there for you, so please continue to do that. I'm part of BITOSA Bangalore, but then we are really the same big fraternity, I think, around the world. We have, I think, 8 or 9 chapters, groups, WhatsApp groups everywhere. So there isn't a place, if you go to bitosaglobal.org, you'll see a map of all the alumni that are registered. And at long time ago, I remember putting up a challenge saying, we don't have one in South America, but now we have people in South America also. So South America, New Zealand, Australia. So it's fantastic, I think. And it's a network that works, is what I say. It's a trust network. We all know, we all share common threads. We all spend time in that same probably corridors, if not in the same room. So I think that's what connects us all. So please stay connected. Please continue to kind of give inspiration, provide inspiration, learn, share. If you know somebody else who we should feature on the talk, please do send us the feedback. So with that, I want to thank everyone from the side of BITOSA Bangalore and BITOSA Global, and thank you everyone for joining in and helping out, and we'll continue to do this and we'll see you back in a month and a half, hopefully, right? Thank you guys, and have a good rest of the evening. People who still have Ganeshas at home, yeah, you are probably late for your RP or something. So go back and have fun, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.